Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Carolyn Moor with the Modern Widows Club. And this is Motivation Monday. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late. My internet was having a little issue there. But this past week, I was fortunate to visit from coast to coast in the United States communities. And the first community I was able to visit was Sacramento, California. We got to meet for dinner and to meet everyone, and we learned lots of nuggets of wisdom from each of the women. I went around the room and I asked them, like, what would be your, just little tip, in widowhood and just in the beginning. A lot of you talked about self-care, and I was so grateful to listen to the women in the group. It was really heartwarming for me to see all the love and the support that each woman had given to each other, and also just how unique the women were. And we talked about how some of the women thought, well, I'm not going to be accepted because I'm different or I'm introverted or all of these things. And yet they were all so grateful that they showed up and they opened their hearts and their arms to each other. And it was just so beautiful to see it in person. I just know that our groups are just like no other groups when you gather together. And then I turned around and I took a red eye flight, and I came back to join the Central Florida community of Orlando, which is also our founding community. This is where Modern Widows Club actually began 10 years ago. And we were able to go for a field trip to New Smyrna's Museum of History, which was really fascinating because, you know, you, I always go there to go to the beach, but I didn't know the history of how that town started and how the majority of people that started the town were from Ma- Majorca. It was just fascinating to learn. And you guys get this, the woman, Linda, who was actually our tour guide, was also a widow. So here we were, a group of 20, 25 ladies and getting together for the tour, but then we ended up going to a lunch. But it was just really wonderful going together, and we all had our Modern Widows Club t-shirts on, and it was such a wonderful time together. Seeing everybody together, it was just so needed, in just the isolation and the loneliness, and then just the being separated. It was just so wonderful to like be together, and it was great being with Christine Carlson last week and reconnecting with a lot of ladies also there. Um, and in Orlando, we had a special, I can't tell you what it is right now, but it's something we'll share in the future. But we had some guests filming us for a special segment that's going to be broadcast in the future. So um, I'll have a future announcement about that. But what I did really notice is that these ladies really need what each other has. And you know what? I want all of you who watch these videos, these Motivation Mondays, and thank you for telling me that you really enjoy, you feel connected with me and the organization when I do these Motivation Mondays. I just want you to know that i- if you're watching this and you may have a community that's close to you that you can drive to and be in face to face, but if you don't, we have a virtual community. And here's what I realized is even our communities that had in-person communities, they weren't meeting in person. They were meeting virtual. And so it was wonderful to watch the ladies in Sacramento and also Orlando and meet each other for the first time face to face, even me meeting the ladies face to face, but they got to know each other online in the Zooms because they showed up for those, and they heard their stories, and they held their hands virtually, and they supported them, and that's how it started. And so I think a lot of people start virtual first and then they go in person. So go on over there, and I'll put in this post the link where you can go right to the communities, go look where we have communities. You can join any of them. Even if you're visiting, like if you come to Orlando, come, to our community. If we have a meeting while you're here, we would love that. So I just want to encourage you to connect, because of how magical and how beautiful it was to actually be there with these other ladies, and just they could not have been more different, and yet all had one thing in common, which if you actually look at our logo, this is our Modern Widows Club One Day at a Time cup. The logo is, you can't really see it. Here, I'm going to put it up really close. But these dots are 59 dots that represent um, the average age of a widow, 59 in the United States. And then the circle, of course, is how we come together. And the way all these dots are spread out is because we're all in different phases. We all come from different backgrounds. But you'll notice, I'm going to hold this up, the very top of the circle, it's actually a keystone. It's not a circle. And that keystone is the reason that brought us all together. It's that person, our person that we lost. And so that is truly, the keystone of this organization, the reason why we know each other. I didn't know if I ever explained that logo, but I wanted to share that with you. So, all of these communities, thanks to our generous donors, these communities get to meet for no charge. It's no charge to you. We actually hand select all of our community leaders and advocates, and we train them. We also support them. So each community starts with 2 wisters past their second year of widowhood, who just has a heart and a calling to lead. And they just want to empower other widows each month. And so I want you to join these communities and just begin making quick friends. And for your widower friends, we also have a virtual Modern Widowers Club virtual group. So you'll see that over there. You can send that over to those guys, and they can get support as well. So here's another thing I want to offer to you guys. If you're looking for more than just a community, or maybe you've been in a community for a long time, I'm offering my 6-month group mentoring program in 2022. Now, I offered this in 2018 for a limited amount of ladies, and I'm opening it back up partly because I saw what happened over the last 3 years with the women that I personally mentored for 6 months. Now, that program is called Pivot. And the reason why I call it that is because a lot of times it takes just a slight pivot, or maybe standing in your life from a different viewpoint, to get unstuck, to find what it is that's on the next step of your pathway. And so this is beginning in January, and it's going through June. And each month, we're going to have 3 Zoom calls together as a group, focused on the pillars of healthy widowhood. Now, I'll bring in special expert speakers like Christine Carlson, who you met last Motivation Monday, because we're going to go in more depth each month in these areas of healthy widowhood. I definitely have a lot more resources. I definitely have a lot more friends now that I can bring in and educate and inspire you. And so this program, there is a fee for this program, but I'm going to put the link in this post. And so you can click there and go over and look. We have just a little PDF there with more information, but I can also give you more information as well. And I would love for you to join me. If you're ready to step into truly becoming empowered to thrive, I would love to have you join all of us, this small group. It is limited, and you do have to sign up before January 1st. So go over there and check that out. Now, if you haven't signed up for our Inside Look newsletter, I hope you have, because it just keeps getting better. I saw that Tara Collingwood is now doing is one of our guest experts, and she spoke at Widow Empowerment event. She has actually spoken at all of our Widow Empowerment events about, she's an amazing dietitian, great speaker, but really talking about like my bulletproof coffee here in in my cup, just how important health is to the stage of widowhood. So I hope you go over there. Now, I have a word. I missed word of the, oh, this is the pivot. This is, look for this. This is going to be the little PDF that you're going to have. But here's a word of the day. It is called nuta. Nuta. Look at this. This is going to be a word that you're really going to like. Oh, excuse my nails. I've been traveling. Nuta. It's Swedish, and it's called to enjoy deeply and intensely, to appreciate profoundly, to revel in life. I chose this word because it is how I feel when I'm with my wisters. It truly is to appreciate profoundly that we have found one another, that we have deeply and intensely understand one another on a level that only really widows who have gone through trauma and are coming out and rebuilding their life can do. So I hope you guys have a great week. I will talk to you next Monday, and who knows where I'll be. But I'm glad that you showed up. Make your comments down below. Hey, why don't you share a little bit of advice for another widow, maybe coming to Modern Widows Club? Because I think that sometimes if you can't make it to a community, you just drop it right here in the comments. And that matters. That is so important. So love you guys. I'll see you online and next week. Bye bye. Oh, I gotta find my little clicker thing.